Welcome back. Just a few minutes from now, former President Joe Biden is set to deliver his first major speech since leaving the White House. He'll be taking the stage in Chicago at a conference supporting Social Security. At the same time, his former running mate may also be planning some post-presidency moves of her own. Former Vice President Kamala Harris is reportedly considering a 2026 run for California governor. Politico reports Harris will make a decision on a candidacy by the end of the summer. Harris wouldn't be the first vice president to try to return to state-level politics after leaving Washington, and it's not always a success story. NBC News' Steve Kornacki is at the big board now with a look at what could lie in store for Vice President Harris. Steve?
Yeah, look, she's won office in California before. There's not a ton of polling on this for 2026 yet, but certainly there's warm feelings towards Harris among Democratic voters in California. But there could be some hiccups if she does decide to go forward with this. First of all, take a look here. You're seeing some potential candidates, some announced candidates who, if Harris were to jump in this race, she'd be facing. You have Javier Becerra, the former Biden cabinet official. He's in. Katie Porter, former congresswoman. She'd run for the Senate. She's in. Antonio Villaraigosa, a former mayor of Los Angeles. So there's potential threats, certainly, for Harris politically when it comes just to the loyalties of Democratic voters, not just liking her, but choosing her over some other potential big-name Democrats and other Democrats who might break through as the campaign unfolds. So that would be a hurdle for her. Obviously, the second is the system in California, the top two system. Everybody, Democrat, Republican, any party, runs on the same primary ballot. The top two advance to the fall, meaning if Harris were to run, she could potentially face a Democrat in the general election. You look at somebody like Rick Caruso. He's a businessman. He used to be a Republican. He ran for mayor of L.A. a couple years ago, emphasized public safety, emphasized quality of life. That kind of candidate, potentially, with potential bipartisan appeal, if he got to a general election, that could be a unique to California threat to somebody like Kamala Harris. But look, we don't know if she's going to run. If she does, this would be the track record here of former VPs who lost the presidency, then tried to make comebacks at the state level. Here's three. It was Richard Nixon, lost the presidency in '60 to JFK. He ran for California governor 2 years later in '62. Started out the big favorite over the Democrat Pat Brown. He lost. Hubert Humphrey, LBJ's VP, lost the '68 election to Richard Nixon. 2 years later, Minnesota Senate race, he won that seat. Humphrey was very popular in Minnesota. He won it easily. Here's Walter Mondale, 2002. He was well into his 70s. There was that tragedy. There were Paul Wellstone, the Democratic senator, died. He replaced Wellstone for the final week of that campaign and lost. But when you see Nixon and Humphrey, remember, they were both interested in these races because they wanted to run for president again. That was well known at the time. They both did end up running for president again. Is that ultimately, whatever she decides here, where Harris wants to go? If it is, she's certainly thinking of this. These are the three modern vice presidents here who've made it on their own to the presidency eventually. Again, took Nixon a while after being vice president, took Biden a while. Remember, he didn't run in 2016, waited until 2020, and then there was George Bush Sr., who was elected to replace Reagan at the end of Reagan's second term.
All right, Steve Kornacki at the big board. Thanks for breaking that down for us.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.